Life as You Own It with Mark McDougald and Craig Miller.
Remember, you got questions, we've got answers. You may not take the time to educate yourself about the single largest investment and opportunity you have, that investment in the roof over your head in real estate.
We talk about your home, financing, making investments in real estate. We give you the facts, folks.
You know, it's just good old-fashioned horse sense that we like to talk about. And we also throw in some other horse stuff, too, just for fun.
All right, Life as You Own It. I'm Mark McDougald. He is... Crap.
I was gonna do this big uncomfortable pause on purpose. Craig Miller's the name.
That's right. And
Life as You Own It's the game.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. We hope that you are going to tune in for the entire hour because we got a lot of great information for you. If you're a first-time listener, welcome aboard. If you're a regular, welcome back. We appreciate you. We're giving you here's a big old hug to all of you. That's right.
That's what I always say.
Is that a hug?
No.
That's like you ate some good food. Ate some good barbecue. All right. Well, we're going to cover pretty much everything under the roof over your head in a typical show. Okay, not everything in every show, but if you listen to enough of the shows, which you can if you go to the podcast or if you go to our website, lifeasyouownit.com, you can catch the archive. And what we cover is going to be everything from personal finance to how to get your best deal on insurance, how to improve your credit score, how to pick the house that's right to you, how to find a great realtor, how to find a great insurance agent. The list goes on.
How to look better in a bathing suit. We covered.
How to look. We did last show. We did some fitness tips, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't think we got to them actually. We were going to do it, but we didn't.
Oh, we almost had fitness tips on the show, and we will again one day, folks. It was a top 5 extravaganza last show, so I didn't check it out.
Yeah.
We got through a lot of important top 5s. And some of them were even destined to be fun, which would be the workout tips.
What's the toll-free number if they need the workout tips?
That's a good question. I believe it is 877-300-1536. That's the one. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. We don't give the people off for Christmas, do we? We got someone.
Even leap year doesn't throw us off.
No. Call us if you've got a question. We've got an answer. One of our team members will make sure it gets directed to the right people, and we will help you. We're here for you. Try to stump us. Doesn't matter. Questions, feedback, you name it. We want to hear from you. All right, Craig. So did you have a good week?
It was a great week.
Good.
Doesn't even feel like it's over yet. So
it does. Well,
it just seems like I have so
it
much
is.
to
It's
do.
the weekend.
Yeah.
So hopefully you accomplished all that you did in the week, and hopefully our listeners are going to leave this hour with just a little bit more knowledge and help them make their next week a great one. So, folks, today we're going to be covering, it's not February, but love is definitely in there. Craig and I have a long-standing love affair with real estate, and it appears that once again the American public is falling in love for what has long been considered the American dream. What do you think of that, Craig? It's love. Exciting and new.
People want real estate.
That's right, folks. It appears that the love affair is back on, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later in the hour. Also, what do millions of renters have in common, Craig? Do you know?
They all pay rent.
That's right.
Okay, just kidding. They're tenants.
Those are, maybe. Well, you're going to find out later in the hour. Also, if you're looking to go upscale, now might be the time, according to CNN Money. The outlook is sunny for housing in high-end neighborhoods. And Craig, what's number 4?
The age-old question: does Atlantis really exist?
Do you think it does?
I know you've been there, so you.
No, I have not actually. Though I'd like to. We're talking about we're talking about the resort, or do we mean 20,000 leagues under the sea, Atlantis?
Exactly.
That's what I meant.
One. And the other question: should I rent or buy? That's the other age-old question. So,
it is.
Anyway, we've got the data on that for the 10 biggest U.S. cities to help you with your decision.
If you're not quite prime, well, you're not quite perfect. Craig, you, my friend, are prime.
Prime steak, baby.
That's right. But that doesn't mean you can't be on the comeback trail. We're talking about, subprime mortgages in the eternal words of whomever it is on Poltergeist or whatever movie that is.
Yeah.
They're back. Is that Poltergeist?
I think so.
Was it? Was it the young girl?
Yeah,
Carrie.
Well, Craig, then you'll have to do that voice. Do it. You'll have to do the they're back. Because it's a young girl.
I can't do that. That's the old lady that does it. Oh, no, the little girl says
Well, you can do either.
It's the light. Don't go into the light. That's it.
Okay. Subprime, subprime mortgages, they are on the comeback. We're going to give you the information and our opinion on that. And it looks like the latest trend in green building might be a little more brown, or maybe it's rust colored. We'll tell you what they are using to build houses in Venezuela. Don't let your imagination get away from you just yet. You'll have to stay tuned later in the hour to find out what the heck they're using.
It's a new type of Adobe home. Just kidding. All right.
All right, and as you know, we've got rates. We're going to give you, Craig's going to give you the trend, where they are now and where he believes they're headed, and what we like to do the best, what we like to do most each and every weekend are read and answer your real live scenarios. The should you stay or should you go scenarios. We've got at least 2 or 3 of those sprinkled throughout the hour, so you're going to make sure you stay tuned for those. All right, Craig. So you're doing well. You ready to roll?
I'm ready to go.
Is it a good show? Did we had some good content? You excited about it?
I feel a good vibe between you and I for the first time ever in all these years now. I feel good about this.
For the first time?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Let's
I want to mention that if you just saw Craig reached out to hold my hand, you didn't just see it because you're listening through your newfangled radio that has SpectraVision. You could see it if you went to YouTube. This entire show is being video recorded. Now, we will make sure that we edit some of the funniness and goofiness that happens between the breaks, or maybe during.
Most of the nudity.
Do it. But, Rosa, what did you say?
Tell them to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, lifeasyouownit.com. Just go to lifeasyouownit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then you will get the fresh content. In fact, when do they receive it? Do they get an advance of when the show airs? Oh, so is that going to be Friday? That's okay. We're thinking about it, folks. But we will. There's a good chance you will get the show before your neighbors. There's a possibility because our show runs because we're so blessed to have now 39 affiliates, to include our new friends, WPIC AM in Youngstown, Ohio. Welcome aboard, Youngstown and WPIC. We're so excited, and this is their opening weekend. So, Craig, what are we thinking? We got to make this a really good show.
We do.
All right, so I think we do. I hope you're not disappointed. In fact, we know you won't be disappointed. And welcome aboard, Youngstown, Ohio, and WPIC AM. You are now number 39 on the list. Not
in order of listenership, mind you, just in order of coming on board.
For this weekend, you're number 1 in our hearts. And we also, you can catch us at iHeartRadio. You can do the iTunes upload, any other sources.
TuneIn. TuneIn Radio.
TuneIn Radio. So we've got all those resources for you.
And you can just listen on our website too.
Life as you want it, or if you just go to the website. All right, Craig.
We're going to talk about national averages for interest rates over the past week. We bring this to you every week, folks. If you're a first-time listener, every week when you tune into the show, you can find out where did rates land through the week, last week, and where were they the week before. And sometimes we'll opine on where we think they'll be in the week ahead. The national average is always based on about a $200,000 loan amount, someone with excellent credit, and 20% or more equity. So this is an 80% loan-to-value scenario, purchase or refinance. These are the national average for rates. Keep in mind there are closing costs, there are fees, there are more fees and junk fees and all kinds of stuff, and oftentimes even points. What are points? Points are fees used to buy your rate down even lower. 1 point equals 1% of your loan amount. On a $200,000 loan, that's $2,000. All right, let's talk about it. 30-year fixed, 4.30 versus a 4.28 average the week before. So we closed out just slightly higher on the week than the week before. But for all practical purposes, that's flat, folks. 15, 3.36 versus 3.30. A little more movement, but again, we would consider that flat. 5-year ARMs, that's a 5-1 ARM, 3.27 versus 3.35. So there's an improvement in adjustable rate mortgages. And FHA 30-year fixed, 4.06 versus 4.02. So those rose just slightly as well. I don't think you would see a difference in the quote you would receive from the lender you're working with. What we want you to pay most attention to, though, folks, is those fees. The fees and closing costs are what bite you. You can compare with a lower cost loan or even a zero cost loan, and oftentimes when you do the math, you'll find it's a better deal. Check it out, lifeasyouownit.com. We've got the break-even formula on there so you can be educated on how to do your math and what's the right way to go in your transaction.
All right, Mark, what do we have coming up?
All right, as we talked about earlier, the American public is falling in love with real estate. And also, what do millions of renters have in common? That and so much more when we return. Stay tuned to Life as You Own It.
All right, friends, we are back. Life as You Own It. Back at it, Mark. Before the break, you said we were going to talk about the spring love that's emerging.
That's right. So, we've had a long-standing love affair with real estate, and I would guess it's because of not just the industry we're in, but probably I was not a homeowner until I was actually in this industry. How about yourself?
I was a homeowner before I was in this industry. I was a homeowner at a fairly young age for a young American.
Well, I've been in the industry since I was 6, so did you buy before you were 6, Mr. Big
I
Talker?
did, actually.
Okay, you're a 5.
I put a little tent on my wagon.
Little
That was my
tent.
residence.
All right, so we Craig and I are passionate about real estate, mortgage finance, the opportunity to be investors in real estate and look at it just like what it is, the biggest investment you'll probably make in your life, whether you've got multifamily properties, whether you've got a portfolio of single-family residences and you rent them out. The key thing is, or you just have the roof over your head. It's a big investment. If you do the numbers, you can make it a successful investment. And as we see over the last several years, from the boom and the bust of, we'll say 2006, whenever the real estate market appreciation ran up and up and up, and it was a nice piggy bank for everybody to have. And then when it started to go down, suddenly it became not as good an investment as it was before. So according to Gallup, Americans think real estate is the best long-term investment. But unfortunately, I'm here to tell them, and so is Mr. Schiller from the Case-Shiller Index, is that doesn't necessarily bear itself out statistically. So it depends on what you define as an investment. If an investment is something that you look at strictly a rate of return, which from the business end of things you should, it would not be the best long-term investment, because Craig and I are here to tell you the Dow has had a higher rate of return than the average return on real estate. However, when you look at investment as investing in the roof over your head, the rate of return has a whole different meaning. But let's talk about the data here. So as the real estate market recovers, so does America's faith in housing and as investment. According to a Gallup poll released Thursday, the majority of Americans now think of real estate as the best long-term investment, followed by gold, stocks, and mutual funds, savings accounts, CDs, and bonds. So let's talk about a little bit of this. If one assumes best to mean the investment that offers the highest rate of return, then Americans have things backwards. Real estate on average actually returns very little when adjusted for inflation. Robert Shiller, Case-Shiller Index, you guys will hear that frequently given. The economist famous for helping to create such index puts it like this: home prices look remarkably stable when corrected for inflation. Over the 100 years ending in 1990, before the recent housing boom, real home prices rose only 0.2% a year on average. The smallness of that increase seems best explained by rising productivity in construction, which offset increasing costs of land and labor. And since 1990, housing has continued to be a middling investment when you take into account the bursting of the real estate bubble. So when we take that time, so from 1990 up through the middle of 2006, you would say, oh my gosh, the best investment we could ever make. And that would make sense because our context is that. Most people that are homeowners today have witnessed or participated in the rise and boom of real estate from 90 to 2006. So the bottom line is, we know you're in love. We know right now it's hot. But what we tell you is the same thing as we've always told you. Real estate is a great long-term investment if you don't expect it to be your only investment and create your retirement for you, or if you don't think that you have to be diversified and look at it just like the investment it is, with a specific potential rate of return and the roof over your head providing shelter, etc.
And does hedge against inflation versus what your living expenses would be otherwise.
You got to have a roof over your head. So that's the part. We'll elaborate a little after the should you stay or should you go segment. I'm eating into, aren't I?
Yes, you
are. All right,
are.
folks. Hopefully you know the drill. If not, you're going to learn it real quickly. We've got Aaron in Albany, New York, emailed, "Hello, gentlemen. I have a $406,000 loan with a value of $500,000 plus. I don't expect to move for a long time. My rate is 4.99% on a 30-year loan, but I'm thinking of going to a 15 or 20-year loan. Should I stay or should I go?"
Go, 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 Aaron. You need to refinance that mortgage. There is an opportunity for you to save money. You got to watch those fees and costs. Make sure you get a comparison between a zero-cost loan or a very, very, very low-cost loan and a loan with some what most people would consider average or standard closing costs. Don't buy your rate down, but take a look at a comparison there over the time you think you're going to live there before doing the 15 or 20-year loan, consider what you could be doing with the additional monthly amount of money that you'll be plugging into that mortgage where it won't be liquid. You might have other investments that will get a better rate of return than what you would save in interest payments by paying the loan down faster. So make sure you compare, visit with your financial advisor, preferably work with a certified mortgage planner who understands these concepts and can help you make a sound financial decision.
All right. Okay, so before we did your should you stay or should you go, we were we're wrapping up. We're going to put a bow on this part of the show, which is really us just saying, hey, real estate, yes, we think it's great that there is a growing amount of attraction for people to purchase homes. That there's an irrational fear that purchasing a home was not a good long-term investment, and we're here to tell you and make sure you understand that the roof over your head, if you do the math, and we're going to have some rental versus buy scenarios later in the hour. If you do the math, it can be a great long-term investment, but it's not the investment that's going to fund your retirement.
That's right.
Get into the numbers, crunch the numbers, work with a mortgage planner, make sure you understand the real cost of home ownership, and you may find, because the one thing we know is an investment that you have a 0.2% rate of return. Say it's over 100, it's 0.2%. Well, what's the rate of return on your rental if you're renting? It's 0. What is the cost associated with it? So when we determine the return on investment, it's going to be generally you go, what is the, after the expenses associated with that investment, what is my net return? So there really is a big difference between the apples and orange.
Big swing.
And so we're just acknowledging, yes, it is popular. People are getting back in. People are making, ideally, rational decisions about purchasing, but don't get carried away. Make sure you do the math. Work with a certified mortgage planner. Listen to Life as You Own It. Do the numbers. Does it make more sense for you to be a renter, or should you jump in and buy? And if you do jump in and buy, we want you to be conservative. We'd rather you have a little snug quarters of your house than a house you're running around trying to keep up with the maintenance of, struggling to make ends meet because you got more house than you need. All right, Craig.
Good advice, Mark.
What's next,
Good
my
advice.
friend?
Well, a lot of renters are saying they want to buy a home. That's what they want. So
That's right.
I guess that's what they all have in common.
Yep. According to Zillow, there are a significant increase in all but 20 metro areas Zillow surveyed. 5% or more of the residents said they wanted to buy a home over the next 12 months. The desire is particularly strong for renters. 10% of them want to buy. That would translate into 4.2 million first-time home buyers, double the number who purchased in 2013. Unfortunately, that likely won't happen. Why? It's because inventories of homes are maybe up slightly, but for that amount of people to come into the market, there's not going to be enough houses.
Nope.
Now, what does that say for appreciation? Good for appreciation. Home prices will continue to rise steadily. And if these people really do start getting back into the market, we'll see a more quick and robust increase in appreciation of housing. So it's good to see that the pendulum is swinging and that people that are currently renting are considering jumping in. That's a good thing. First-time home buyers, well, if you've listened to the show, we've told you what to look for to make that home the right home for you. You want to go back 2 weeks ago, and we said, what are the 5 things to create the best first-time home for you? So listen to that show when you'll hear us talk about what it is that you need to know and understand and look for in a house that's going to be a great investment for you. So, Craig, what else? Jumping on?
Well, I will say this. We cover this all the time, like you said, but there is a good reason why these folks want to buy. If you're someone who is listening to this data and you have a home that you want to sell, take that as a cue. You might have an opportunity to sell a lot quicker and for a better price than you're thinking if that's what's keeping you out of the market. When I talk to many people who do want to move, whether they want to upsize or downsize, but they'd like to do something with their current home, what I hear often is, we're just waiting because we don't feel like the market's ready for us to sell yet. Well, guess what? It probably actually is well primed for you to sell now. So to help some of these first-time home buyers out, folks, get your house listed, and then you go find something else. Maybe build one.
All right, maybe you can find a house in an upscale neighborhood. We're going to talk about the outlook for higher-end housing when we return. Life as You Own It. All right, we're back. Life as You Own It. Mark McDougald, Craig Miller.
That's us.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Remember, if you're listening as you're driving, be careful. Don't text and drive. In fact, some of us shouldn't even be talking on the phone while we're driving. Craig, have you ever been driving down the road and you missed a turn because all you're doing is talking on the phone?
I've been driving down the road and missed turns and gone off the road because I was texting. I'm just kidding.
Not at all.
I do a lot of checking.
I'm
my
not
email
telling you
and
to
stop
admit those.
links.
I was making it easy. I was saying, have you ever been on the phone? Yeah, so
I don't.
so be
I don't miss
careful here.
turns because I'm on the phone.
You know what we recommend you do is just take the don't talk on the phone. Just listen to Life as You Own It. You can even take the podcast, pop in your earbuds. Only pop in one. That way, you're an ambulance or siren if they're coming to pull you over for speeding.
Yeah.
If you're Craig, but take us on the road. Check out the podcast. You can also listen to us at iHeartRadio, and you just go to the website and you can custom. You can pick whatever topics you want to learn about by looking at the highlights of the last shows, and those are thanks to Rosa Bocher, who makes the magic happen for Life as You Want It. Thanks, Rosa.
Magic.
You're welcome.
All right. There's the music. Up to here. Should you say or should you go segment. Quincy in Omaha, Nebraska, or it could be Omaha and Quincy, Illinois.
I think
But
this
it's
is,
Quincy in Omaha, Nebraska, called with the following question. I want to refinance one of my investment properties. The lender I spoke to said it won't save me money. I owe $172,000, but it's worth about $180,000 to $190,000. I'm told I don't have enough equity. Is this true? I pay 6 1/4 and really want to refinance. What should I do? Craig, stay or go?
stay. Unfortunately, probably going to have to stay unless you're going to be able to reduce the principal balance, or whoever told you that it was worth 180 to 190 is incorrect. You really don't have enough equity to refinance an investment property. So,
Come on,
paying
spit
6
it out.
1/4.
That's an easy one, I think. You got to stay.
I think you got to stay. I'd love to see him refinance though. So double check
Because
the
he is
value.
at 6 1/4. You're right.
Yeah, he needs to really do some research and make sure the value is correct. Whomever gave him that information, and if that's the case, well.
And one thing to look at, just to work with a mortgage planner, because they can take you through. You said you own. Looks like I want to refinance one of my investment properties. If you've got multiple investment properties, it may make sense. If you've gotten those down at lower rates, depending on your equity position, you may be able to cost effectively shift a little and get this one to where you're a little lower loan to value, and then lock this down. If it's a long-term play and you got it, get this one down at a rate closer to 5 or maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
So you gotta work with a mortgage planner and a financial planner. Work with them both. Kind of look at your portfolio, look at where you're leveraged on them, and identify, can you shift some stuff around.
Maybe your
So-
primary residence has a little equity in it that you could tap into. And
Yeah. But
that
do
one's
it. Make
quickly.
sure it all makes sense.
That's a net
Tax
on all.
efficiency has to be in there.
Yep.
All of it. So.
Yep.
All right, folks. Before the break, we were talking about Americans. They're back in love with real estate.
10 hot
And,
cities. You were going
we
to talk
say-
about where people are moving to.
Yeah. Remember, love's a good thing, but before you get married, make sure you understand what the exit strategy might be. If like marriage, 50% of it end in divorce. It's just a reality that most people own more than one home in their life. So
Yeah.
make sure you think of what the exit strategy looks like. That was not a good comparison, wasn't marriage to selling a home, divorce? That's not.
Depends on the marriage.
But don't look at your home as the be all end all of your relationships. It's business. All right. So the sunny outlook for housing in upscale neighborhoods. What do you think, Craig?
It's apparently a sunny outcome. And why is that? Well, mostly because home prices went down so much in some of these areas. People are like, hey, this is a great chance to get into these super hot areas. There was a reason they were hot before. These areas are the reason, there's a reason why they were the most desired locations. And when the values drop on those and people can scoop them up a little cheaper, they're going to run back to them, and it looks like a smart investment. So which are those places, Mark?
That's right. Well, actually, I'm not specifically hitting on the places right here, but I am just talking about in general. You got it. So with jumbo rates now closer to those of conventional loans, which we have seen a lot of, Craig. What's the spread now, would you say, on average, for excellent credit between a jumbo and a conforming rate?
Quarter of a point, maybe?
Yeah, that's as tight as it's really. There's been some times where it's been a little closer, not much. Historically, you'd usually see a 1/2 to 3/4 difference between the two, but right now about a quarter difference between a conforming rate, conventional rate, and a jumbo rate. And buyers more confident. Sales volume for expensive homes is on the upswing. In January, the number of U.S. homes selling for $500 to $750 picked up 15% versus a year earlier, compared with a 6% drop in the $100 to $250 prices, which we consider the median home prices. So the time it takes to sell is also falling in many areas. In Denver, for one $500,000 houses were on the market 12% fewer days in January for this year than in the same period in 2013. Prices for high-end homes rose less than those on the low end last year, but that's likely to change soon, according to CoreLogic. So, folks, if you're thinking of buying that high-end home, the good news is look at a jumbo loan. because the rates aren't much more. You don't have to put the big down payment. So frequently in the last 3 to 5 years, people were doing a first and a second, or they were taking assets that were possibly having a higher rate of return and putting a big chunk so they could save what might be 0.75% difference in interest rate. Well, now there's a quarter difference, so you can really do the math on it and crunch down and go, you know what, maybe it doesn't make sense to pull out a big chunk of investments yielding a return of 7% to put down on a loan that's going to cost me effectively 3.25% because of the tax efficiency. So do the math there. Also, you can look at ARMs. If it's not going to be a long-term play, or as Craig has said many times on this show, that if you properly manage an ARM, the chance of you coming out ahead overall in your interest savings is significant.
Big time.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a fact that whether you want to look back, we can't lament the past and wish we could rewind the clock and be in ARMs, but if every consumer out there who had a properly managed mortgage plan would have been in an ARM for the last 30 years and stayed in ARMs and continued to refinance when the opportunities arose and knew how to do it without a bunch of fees, you would be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars ahead. Everybody would, unless you didn't maintain your credit where you couldn't refinance. So,
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk the age-old question. We'll answer it, rent versus buy. At least we'll answer it for those of you living in 10 of the largest cities in the United States. Life as you own it. Stay tuned.
all right, folks, we are back. Life as you own it. You own it. We're on it. Let's keep rocking out, Mark. Not to this song, but to the data we have to share.
That's right. Rockin', rockin', rockin' out. So, Craig, what data do we have to share, my
Next
friend?
item up for bid. Well, let's talk about
What you'll pay in the 10 biggest
10 biggest
cities,
cities.
rent versus own. Okay, number one on the list is the Big Apple. The percent you'll save in buying is 22%. The median home price is $520,000. The median rent, $28.50. And while Manhattan's multi-billion-dollar penthouse in expensive suburbs may make all the headlines, many single-family homes in the area command much more reasonable prices. Rents have been stable over the past year, but are much higher than the potential national median rent of $1,580. For people willing to stay in their homes for 7 years or more, that makes buying a more favorable proposition, especially given what, Craig? The low rates.
That's right.
Remember, folks, a
Lower
part of your calculation of whether it makes sense for you to rent or buy is what is the cost of your mortgage. That includes whether you're paying PMI, whether you haven't optimized your credit score and you're going to pay a quarter or 3/8 higher in rate. All of that impacts your real cost. All right, number 2 on the list, Craig. What is it? Huh?
I don't have your stuff.
You don't.
I don't
That's
have
right.
your sheet.
Los Angeles.
You ripped me out of that deal.
Los Angeles, the estimated percent saved in buying is 24%. The median home price is $420,000. The median rent is $2,100. All right, in Chicago, the percent saved buying is 47%, because the median, and we're taking the median home price versus the median rent, doing the numbers there. Median home price is $170,000. The median rent is, guess what, Craig? A whopping $1,700.
Yeah, I was going to say 20.
170 versus 70. So the median home price versus median rent, you're going to save 47%. Dallas, median home price $190, median rent $1,650. A percent save in buying is 41%. But you got to remember, there's all kinds of other fruits you got to factor in. You got your craisins, you got your prunes, you got your. So what is the difference between a prune and a plum, Craig? Do you know?
Yeah, one of them's dried out and dehydrated.
Okay, what's the difference between a craisin and a cray?
The
Or
cranberry.
a ray. All right, folks, so you get it, the 41%, it means something, but only if you have some context to it. So $190,000 median home price, sure, that might be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. The $1,600 median rent, that might be a 3-bedroom, 1-bedroom condo right in the middle of downtown that's walking distance from your work. So there are a lot of variables. We're giving you the broad overview. We're giving you the broad overview and those things. But you got to get down and do the math. Thanks, Rosa. Rosa, that was good. Rosa was I talk with my hands, so if you can see me now, you can know it's like a Bruce Lee movie in here. But sometimes we've got it because I have a weird the way I speak. Whenever I speak, the words come out just about a half second later.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. All right, so Dallas, Houston, the percent saved buying, 45%. The median home price is $200,000, and the median rent is $1,800. Houston,
Man, what are they doing
big
down
city, big rent. Philadelphia, $175,000. $100,000 median home price. Median rent is $1,600. The estimated saved percentage is 46%. Washington D.C. median home price is $330. Median rent is $2,100. The percent saved buying is 34%. Miami median home price $300. Median rent $2,250. The percent saved buying is 38%. And Atlanta, the median home price right now is $130. And the median rent is $1,350. Percent saved buying is 52%. And last but not least, Boston. Median rent is $2,550. Median home price $435. Estimated percent saved buying is 30%. Now, all of our realtor friends are saying, "Amen."
Yeah.
Look at how much money you can save in our markets buying versus renting, folks. Like we said, it's median to median. That doesn't mean that's all the information you need to go and run out and buy, but it does give an indicator that there's probably opportunity for you to make an investment in real estate today that might be a good long-term one for you tomorrow. I guess
A little
it'll be
extra
tomorrow.
coin in your
10
pocket. I
years
think
from
it is
now.
a good investment for most of you
So
financially
what's that
responsible
music?
folks.
There's music playing. And
We got
I
to
don't
find out what's
understand
going
what
on
that
with
means.
somebody in Springfield, Illinois.
All right, we've got the should you stay or should you go. Valerie in Springfield, Illinois called with the following. Hi guys, why is it that I can't get a loan to buy a house? I have over 20% down and very little debt. My credit score is only 560 because my ex-husband messed up my credit by not paying bills he was supposed to pay. Before that I had perfect credit and I've been on the same job for over 10 years. Why can't I get financed? I am low risk in my opinion. Thanks.
Valerie, this is a stare. Should you go answer? It's a stay with your credit score where it is. You're really not going to be able to buy. So you need to answer your question. Why can't you buy? Because your credit score is too low. Job sounds like you got the job. It doesn't sound like you have a lot of debt, so your debt to income ratio is probably adequate. The 560 credit score is what's killing you right now. As we've talked about earlier in the show, the subprime market may be making a comeback. There may be some a little bit more flexible loan options for you coming soon. For now, though, your 560 credit score is what needs to be improved upon. There are many ways to do that. With a reputable, hardworking, committed credit repair agency or someone who can give you some advice on how to get those scores up, you're going to need a higher score, at least a 580 to get something done, but preferably you'd be over 620 to start opening some doors where you can get into some better finance options. Be careful as you get in a hurry when you have lower credit scores, because what I see happen a lot of time is you're trying to get a home because you think it betters your financial situation. You've already had some bumps on the road. You go in too fast without maximizing your credit scores, and you actually get a setback. So get in a good position before you do this.
Yeah, get that credit score cleaned up, and if your ex-husband was supposed to pay those, it's a matter of time before you can even potentially take legal action to get them cleaned up and off your credit and be on the right road. All right, when we come back, we're going to wrap up. Well, we're going to get close to wrapping up. We're going to talk about subprime mortgages making a comeback, and also, what are they doing in Venezuela to build houses? I think you want to find out. Live as you own it.
All right, folks, we are back. Life as you own it, wrapping up with you this weekend. Final 4 or 5 minutes that you need to hang in there with us. Let's have some fun this last 4 or 5 minutes, Mark, and bring a little, color.
Let's have a
Maybe
little
some
fun.
brown.
Okay, so let's start with
Maybe some
let's start with fun. Okay. All right, and I don't know if it's fun, but Venezuela is to crush. They're crushing cars and bikes to build houses.
They are.
Venezuela said on Tuesday it would start crushing abandoned cars and bicycles, provide raw materials for housing construction, and supplement drastically reduced amounts of local steel. They say they have 10,485 automobiles, 9,651 motorbikes, and 539 bicycles. That's what they got. That's the
what
whole
they have.
amount. That's the whole thing.
What
They're
I wanna
gonna
know
crush,
that we
and
haven't
they're
been
going to turn into materials that they can build houses. So it's not technically, folks, it's not that they're going to use those to build the houses, though it sounded a little better at the opening of the show. They're going to use these to come up with the steel, the shortage of the raw materials, and repurpose them for construction materials.
You know, that would be a huge improvement with old Hugo Chavez there. Usually, in his dictatorship, most of his people are living in those crushed cars. Hopefully he lets the people get out of the car before they crush them, because they live in those cars down there often.
Yeah.
So those are their houses right now.
That's right.
That guy.
There you go. Do it.
All right.
Greg. All right. Also, we talked about, and we had our Should You Stay or Should You Go segment where we had someone that maybe could use a subprime mortgage, but of course our advice to her was, you know what? You don't need a subprime mortgage. What you need to do is first roll up the sleeves and get that credit repaired and cleaned up, and get that part done. Then look at buying a house. And also, I'm going to a little tip to them too is if you're renting, consider identifying a property that you can do a lease purchase or potentially a contract for deed. But understand, a contract for deed, it is a mortgage. So if you can, if you're the buyer and you can negotiate the same kind of terms that give you the same rights of appreciation, etc., as a lease purchase, it gives you more flexibility. I'm telling you, if you're the seller, you want to do a lease purchase. Tell them both. If you're a seller of a house, you don't want to do a contract for deed. You always want to. You can create a lease purchase contract, but do not do a contract for deed because you're held to all the legal
Requirements,
etc. of foreclosure, just like a mortgage company would be.
Yep.
All right. So, Craig, the subprime. What do you think of subprime making a comeback?
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I'm going to give some advice to those of you out here who have literally, or I guess legitimately, struggled with your finances. If you've legitimately struggled to budget well, to make sound financial decisions, you find yourself where you get to a place where you can finally get that car loan that you haven't been able to get approved for, or maybe even a mortgage, and yet you find yourself in financial trouble again a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, there's usually a reason for that. The only problem I have with the subprime loan market that I believe was a big problem before when we had a lot of it is that it allowed many people who were not financially savvy enough, disciplined enough, educated enough, and I don't mean education in general, I'm talking about financial education, financial acumen, to go ahead and get into something that sure seemed like a good idea at the time, and it worsened their financial struggles that they've already constantly dealt with. Here's the deal, folks. A subprime loan could potentially be a solution for you, but you better make sure that you've squared yourself away in all other aspects of your financial plan before you choose to go that route. Oftentimes, my opinion is, it's better to get everything squared away, save your money, save your time, work on your credit, and get everything buttoned up where you've become the best version of your financial self you can be before you take on home ownership, rather than just rush in because there's now a loan available that gets you into the house. If you haven't buttoned up the other areas, you're probably going to find yourself struggling with not only those areas still, now you've added a house into the mix, and it's going to get screwed up too.
I think that's great advice, Craig, and as we're reporting to you that there's an increasing number of opportunities for you with larger down payments, 25 to 35% down. You may be looking at an interest rate at 8 to 10%, and we're not saying those are terrible interest rates if your credit is that bad. We're saying, you know what, may not make sense for you to jump into that, get the credit score cleaned up a little, get your financial house in order, and recognize that with a 600 or greater score, you can do an FHA loan with 3.5% down. That's going to give you a very affordable housing payment.
Yeah.
All right, another installment of Life as You Own It. We appreciate you hanging out with us, and remember to
Call 877-300-1536 if you got any kind of questions, and to stay classy.